who do not labor with their mind, or labor with physical energy, but they labor with the mind, and they should be respected. Now, many people believe that Mencius is arguing against the merchants, the farmers, or maybe he has some respect for the farmers or the workers, but that's not the case. He believes that the merchants are necessary, the farmers are necessary, the workers are necessary for the smooth functioning of any society or any community. But we also need to have scholars. And scholars perform a number of functions. First of all, the scholars can play, again, we talk about heaven and earth and human in the middle, but scholars can play the role of a mediator. The scholars are not to be confused with the rulers. The scholars may help the rulers, but also may serve as critics. So the scholars will play the role of mediating between the populace on the one hand and the rulers on the other. But the scholars, another important thing, the scholars create meaning of life. Just like the Greek notion that the life that is not examined is not worth living. And to examine the life, you require reflexivity. That's a big word. Some self-reflection, some consciousness about what you do. And to be aware of what you do is the minimum condition for you to give meaning to what you do. If you're not even aware of what you do, you're not even reflecting about what you do, you just do as you're told, the meaning of life is totally irrelevant. So you want to know why you do this. And the scholars are charged with the responsibility of understanding why human beings are doing what they do. So there are four very important distinctions that Mencius believes that we should be able to make. First is the distinction between being human and being any other member of the animal kingdom. What is the meaning of being human? That's the first question. The difference between human beings and other animals. The second one is the question of the difference between rightness or righteousness and profitability or profit or benefit. The third one is the distinction between the way of the king and the way of the hegemon. Domination, or way of the hegemon. 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 Okay. But the fourth one is the distinction between civilization and barbarism. What is civilized, what is not civilized. These are four major distinctions. And the scholars are involved in trying to make all these distinctions. So the scholars played a very important role in giving meaning to society, to mediating the role between the ruler, mediating the management of the rulers and the people in general. In this four areas, the most important or the most difficult to understand is the Mencian idea of the difference between a human being and other animals. People simply ridicule the Mencius position that human nature is good. And people say, well, we see all kinds of what happened to evil, what happened to bad people, and why in actuality very people we see are really good in the basic sense of the term. So he's being very idealistic, naive, even romantic. Mencius challenge. Mencius believes that to make a distinction between human being and other animals is to understand the uniqueness of being human. What is the uniqueness of being human? And first he accepts the idea that human beings are animals, like dogs and cats and tigers and zebra. And using a kind of socio-biological reasoning that food and sex are the two most important instincts. So from the the evolutionary biological point of view, it's the idea of survival and multiplying one species. These are the two most important instincts. All the other animals have the same. So the difference between a human being and the other animal is infinitesimal. It's extremely small. Human beings are animals, but not animals, period. But there's a little bit of difference. And that difference is what Mencius is trying to struggle to understand. What is that difference? Next week, we're dealing with another scholar, Xunzi. Maybe I quote one statement from him. He said, everything is made of the vital energy, qi. That just everything is made of matter, but not matter, because the idea of matter is totally alien to Confucian thinking. It's not there's no dead matter. Vital energy is both materialistic and spiritual, but it's the vital. Everything's made of vital energy, qi. Only plants have life. Only animals have consciousness. And only humans have moral sense, rightness, moral sense. There are two important ideas related to this. One is emergence. The other one is the idea of rootedness, the base. Life emerges out of the vital energy. So life is based upon the vital energy. You cannot have life without the vital energy. But you cannot understand life purely in terms of the vital energy, like the vital energy of dust, of rocks and mountains. So there's something that happens in, when you look at the level of the plants. There's something that happens. That's emergence. When animals come into being, it's consciousness, which is also emergence. And human beings now have a sense of rightness. It's also emergence. Anything that emerges can no longer be reduced to the causes or the reasons why this particular phenomenon emerges. So you cannot reduce them. You cannot reduce life simply to vital energy. There's something else that happens. I'll give you one example. In Chinese medicine, I don't know whether I use this example here. This